Hi gang, Vespa here. I wanted to walk you through how to build a graph in Excel, something that lots of folks do outside of our class. It's a good way to quickly and easily display data. So what I have for you here is some data from different text that I've used before, right? It's what white blood cell count of males, and we have the frequency. I believe this measurement is in thousands per microliter, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this data into Excel. I'm going to try to show you a couple quick tips in Excel, things that it's helpful to know how to do. So do white blood cell count. Alright, these will be my classes, and notice this is spilling over into the next cell. If I double click, right, if I put my cursor here to where it's this vertical bar with the arrows and I double click, it widens that out for me. Another thing I wanted to show you is I'm going to put in numeric ranges here. So if I say 3 to 4.9, right? That's going to stick because I've got some decimals. It automatically interprets it correctly. Sometimes you run into things like if you tried to put 5 to 9, watch, this is going to make it a date, right? So things like you can either, right, you can highlight these and reformat your cells. You just right click and you select Format Cells. And there's a number of different things you can select, if this will come up for me here. There we go. So you can select general, number, currency, accounting, right? Lots of different things. Or you can just select text, and this will just stay exactly how you put it in, okay? So if I go back here, so I'm going to do 3.0 to 4.9, it'll stay exactly that text. And then if I do 5.0 to 6.9, so I've got my classes in now, and just so that it's nice and clean, I'd like to right align these, right? So I'm going to highlight those, and over here, right, that'll do right align. So now you can see I've got my classes in, right, with the heading, and my frequencies in with the heading. And so now to insert a graph, all I have to do is highlight my data, right? Notice I've got the headings highlighted also, and I'm just going to go to Insert, and I'd like to do a bar graph. Right, so I go to column, and I'm just going to select the basic one here. Right? And boom, it automatically throws it in for me. Notice my data classes are already labeled down here. Right? So technically this is not a histogram, right? Because the bars aren't touching, and the way that it's labeled is giving you the full label of the data classes. Right? But it's a nice, quick, easy way to do this. There are some add-ins you can throw into Excel to actually do a histogram, but I'm not going to ask you to install anything in this class. So a couple of different things in terms of editing this graph and making it nice. For one thing, I've only got one set of data, so I don't need the key over here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Another thing, right, I'd like to pretty up the title here, so all I have to do is click on it, and then I can click in the text box and edit the title. So now I've got a nice clear title in there so folks know exactly what they're looking at when they look at my chart. Another thing, so notice I've got, the frequency labels here, and then I've got my classes labeled, but I'd like to have axes titles so folks can interpret that quickly and easily. You'll notice up here, if you're clicked on the graph, that there's chart tools up here in this green tab highlighted, and if I go to format or layout, I can change different things. Right? But on layout, you'll notice, boom, axis titles, right? And I can click this and say, I want to put a primary horizontal axis title in. I'll put it in below the axis. And it gives me a text box to put in an axis title. And then similarly, I can add the primary vertical axis title. Now notice you can do a couple different things. You can do rotated, so it's vertical, right? Or you can do a horizontal title, right? So that I don't take up a ton of space right now. I'll just do a rotated title, and that's where it shows up like this. So here's a real basic chart, but notice that it goes together really quickly and easily. It very easily conveys the data. You know what, there's one more thing I want to throw in here, just because we should always be good about units. So I'm going to put my units in here. So you'll notice I just threw that in here into the horizontal axis title. just so folk can see my units and they have an idea what the heck those numbers mean, right? They're looking at white blood cell counts, but if they're not terribly familiar with it, this shows them, okay, this is thousands per microliter, right? Good thing to have. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some data in for you guys to make a chart in Excel, and that's going to be one of your assignments in Chapter 2.